Hello friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. This channel facilitates a lot of projects and lessons for .NET MAUI and also Blazor. So we have a lot of lessons and also a lot of videos that you can go through them. The best way is to go to the playlist and you have Blazor project, .NET MAUI project 2. You can go through them one after the other. This video, we are going to talk about how to navigate through content pages using navigation service. So what actually is a service? Now, when we talk about service comprises of interface and implementation. The interface contains the method name, whilst the implementation class contains the method definitions. Navigation service, it is used to navigate between pages that you're going to create. In applications, you might have more than 2 content pages. In such case, you have to navigate from page 1 to page 2. Navigation service can help us achieve that. Also, we may additionally add some content or some data on top of the navigation link so that it can be received in the other page. When you use navigation service, you can also do that in it. So this video or this project that we are going to take, at the end of this project or this video, you're going to know how to create this navigation service, very simple one, and how to utilize it in the application. We're going to use as an example of a customers. So we're going to have customer ID and customer email or customer location. Then we're going to process it. We're going to have a list of these customers. We're going to have a customer detailed. So we're going to create this navigation service so we can push data from customer list to customer detail. So we can view all the data over there. And also vice versa, we can return back to the customer list. So let's start. We start by creating .NET MAUI app project. As you can see, I have the default project created and run, and that is what you see. Hello world. So welcome to .NET Multi-Platform App UI. That is the default one. When you create a default any project in .NET MAUI, that is what you are going to have. Now, in order to do this, first of all, we have to install this package, and that's a NuGet package known as Community Toolkit.mvvm. MVVM stands for Model View View Model. It is simply a code behind file, or the method that you're going to allow the user to interact with the applications. The MVVM must be the responsible to handle those methods and implementations. So this MVVM going to call a service to also handle that. So the MVVM is going to be like a middleman who's going to work between the user and also our service. So let's start. Let's install that package. So I'll just close this. Let's go to Solution Explorer. Right click on dependencies and I'll go to Manage NuGet Packages. So in here, let's type in Community Toolkit. So we're looking for Community Toolkit.mvvm. So let's switch. So let's click on this, and that is a Community Toolkit.mvvm. So let's install this package. So let's apply and now let's accept. So install. So let's wait for this install here to get changed to uninstall. So it is still installing. When you click on the output, you see we have finished, and now it turns to uninstall. So we can close this peacefully. Now when we go to dependencies, and let's choose any platform, go to packages, and you must see Community Toolkit.mvvm over there with a version of 8.2.1. That is the first step to do. Now, the second step to do in this lesson is to create the following folders. So we have to create models folder, view models, views, and also our services. We want our project to be organized in such a way that it's going to be easily identified and also easily to be read. Right click on the project, click on add let's add the first folder, and now this as models. Let's also add another one. So view models. Let's add another one. And here it is views. And the last one that we need is going to be services. Services. Okay. So we have this. Now let's try to build this project and see. So let's build a solution. So you can see that we have here as one succeeded. Now let's go in there to our project where we have our services folder, and right click on this. Let's add an interface, and that's going to be new item. So show our template, and we go in for an interface, and we select an interface. And what we need here, it is navigation. So navigation service. So navigation service, that is an interface for navigation service. We have to also create an implementation for this. So right click on the same folder. Let's click on add new class. And then since it is not interface, rather a class, you're going to say navigation service. So we have our two files that we need for this service, and the interface and implementation. I said earlier that the interface contains or comprises of the method names, whereas the implementation or the class comprises of the method definitions. So let's set this to public. Let's go to that is the navigation service, the implementation class. Set this to public. And this is going to inherit from navigation service. So let's go to navigation service. And now here, that is public interface. And now this is going to inherit from no one. What we are going to do here is we have to create a method for navigation. So the method name, let's have a look at it. Now you're going to use task, since it's going to be a task. Then let's say navigate. So navigate to, here must be an async. Okay, so navigate to async. And with this, we have to pass in some parameters, because when at times navigating, you can decide to navigate to a page without passing in parameters. At times too, you can decide to pass in parameters. You can decide not to pass in parameters when you want to navigate from one page to the other one, like login or go to accounts page, go to home page. You see, all these, you do not have to pass in parameters. But when you want to go for details page, it means you must pass in parameter from the list page to the detail page, so that the detail page can receive it and display it on the screen. And so we have to perform you have to pass in the two parameters, which can handle with no parameter, or the parameters, and also the one with the parameter. So we, instead of creating two methods for that, let's use one method. Okay, and we're going to set the default one to null. So we can decide not to pass in that parameter, but it's still going to work when you want to navigate to a page whereby we did not need to provide parameters to that link or that page. So we're going to have string. And here, let's say here it is a route. So this route, and we're going to have another one, and this here, and let's say the object, and you're going to pass in an ID dictionary. So inside of this route too, this is a content page. Okay, so we can pass in here content page name. So content page name, that is for the route. And let's pass an ID dictionary. And we want to get string. That is the key. The value that we need is an object, because this object, we cannot define it to any model. It is an empty container. this container is available to be assigned or assign any value to this object. Now we give it a name as parameters. And these parameters, we can make this nullable. So let's say we can start to use this, or we can decide to use this null. So we set it to null. Now this means that anytime that we call this method navigate to async, we are passing in two parameters, content page name, and our dictionary of or that's a list. Now with the dictionary, it is null, so we can decide to pass in only one parameter we're going to hold for this content page. Since here it is null, it's going to work for us. And that is what we're going to use, or we use in just navigating from one content page to another one without parameter. Let's go to the navigation service. Now, once we have something in the interface, we have to have the implementation here. So let's implement the interface here. Now, in the interface implementation, that is what we're going to do. Let's first check if this parameters, so let's say if parameters is equal to null, meaning there's no parameter assigned here, then what can we do? We can return shell.current.go to then pass in this content name. So we are navigating to this content page name. So this means that, and we can decide to pass in the next parameter as null. We can decide to also remove this because it is null already, so nothing will happen. But for the sake of a well-defined one and easy understanding, let's pass the null here. Okay. So this means that when the parameters are null, it means when there's no parameter, then it means we want to just navigate to a page without parameter, without sending something into that page to be received. But in case parameter is not null, then what can we do? Then we can return shell.current.go to async. Now in this async, we need to pass in content page name, the page that you want to navigate to, and also the parameters that we need to pass in. So that is what we are going to do in our service. So we see our service creation is very simple. Just one method with one method definition. Okay, so let's clear this because we are not using to make it simple. Alright, so now we have this. We have our service created. What can we do? We now need to create some models or view models that we're going to be using in this project. So let's close this iService interface and implementation. I know that we have installed this community toolkit.mvvm. So we're going to use this MVVM architecture in this. So let's create our view model. With the view model, we are going to inherit all these iServices, or this service here, that's a navigation service in that base view model. So right click on view models folder and I'll click on add. Let's add a new class, and this is going to be base view model. So this base view model, it is going to inherit from observable objects. So let's clear all this. I know it is using community toolkit.mvvm.component model, and here must be a public partial class. Now let's create a constructor for this, because anytime that we call this model, we want to this navigation service to get called for the first time. So control period and let's go for generate constructor for this base view model. Now in here, let's inject our navigation service. So navigation service, and we say navigation service. So control period, let's create an assign field. So now we have this injected. Okay, now we have this. What is the next thing to do? We have to register the navigation services in the Maui program.cs file. So that's the Maui program. So all service that we create must be registered here. So let's see. Let's come to Maui program.cs file, and now in here we have to add that service. So how do we add this service? We need to use builder.services.add singleton. The reason why we are using singleton is as when you open the page, when you launch the application, you want this service to get created once until you close the application and open it again before the next one gets created. So that's what you want this service to be done or to do. That is why we need to use a singleton. So let's use iNavigation service. And now we call this navigation service. And that is implementation class. So what we are trying to tell this is, anytime that we call this interface, create an instance of this navigation service and attach to the interface created. Because you know this contains the method name, whereas this contains the method name specified here, implementation. So this must go with what? This. If there is no implementation of this, this has no meaning because the interface is there but nothing to be worked on when you click on that method name. Okay, so now we've now registered this navigation service. What else can we do? We can go in there and now create a page, and that's going to be, we have a main page already. So this main page is going to be the contact page. Okay, or we can decide to put them in the same folder. We can decide to leave this main page over there and I'll do our own. So right click on views and I click on add. Let's add new item and I go for .NET Maui. So content page, and now we use home.xml. So home.xml XAML, then I click on add. Now aside from this home, we can also add details. So let's click on add, then new item, and that's going to be the same thing, and we're going to pass here as detail. So detail.xml. Now you know we've created this view, so we must have their corresponding view models. So let's go to view models. Now let's create the first one, class, as home view model. So home page, or let's say home view model. Let's do same to details too. So let's click on this, add, and this is going to be detailed view model. Okay, so we have these two. Now all of these have to inherit from base view model. So we change this to public partial class, and it must inherit from base view model. Okay, so let's see. Now once you have this, what can we do is we have to generate a constructor for this. Okay, so we generate this constructor, and since we are inheriting, or we have this in the constructor for the base view model, whenever that we create an instance of this, or we inject the add navigation service and it is inheriting from this base view model, it must also inherit from the base, and that is a base. Okay, and that the base contains an object known as navigation service, so you have to also specify that. Let's do same to the home. So base view model, and let's set this to public partial. So control period. Now let's generate constructor for this too. So we have these two pages. This is what you're going to use for this project or this lesson. So let's clear unusing ones that we don't need. Let's clear them to make this work looks simple. So home details. Okay. So we have everything set now. So we have our home view model and we have detail view model. So let me clear this. Okay, so we can now save all this. Done. Okay, now once you have our page view models, what we can do here is we have to create a list of maybe customers or a model. Okay, and that is what we are going to be using for this. So let's go to, before we do that, we have to register the pages and their corresponding view models. And we have to also inject this view model to the page or the content context. Okay, or we have to bind it to the context of each content page. Now, we have detail view model and we have home view model. And each here corresponds respectively to what we have here. When you go to the views, we have detailed, and that sync with the detailed view model, and our home goes with our home view model. So let's come to this. Now, detailed view model, let's inject the view model. So detailed view model. And let's bind this context to this. So we say we can use this, or we can use binding context is equal to this. Very simple. Let's do same to the home. And here too, we say that we need to use home view model. And now let's bind the context. So equal to this home view model. Now let's register this. So come to my program.cs file, and now in here we have to register the model and its view model. So we say builder.services, so .add. Now here we need to use transient. Why? We want this method to get created anytime it is called. So when the first view model is called, it could be that data might change in the second call. So we don't want to create it once, else it's going to be static. The data is going to repeat on the same line. But I want this to get created, an instance supposed to be created anytime the model or the view model is called. So that's why we have to use the transient. So we use transient, and now here, what we are going to do, so home view model, then we have to add another one, so builder.services.add transient, and then that is home. So we want to add the content name here as home. Okay, so we have to do it in this way. So we have this added. Now you can make a copy of this and add it to the home page, and that is a detailed page. So now here it's going to be detailed, and here it's going to be detailed. Okay, so now we are done with this. You can see we are going to click on navigation, so we have to register the routing. Let's go to appshell.xaml.cs, and now here we have to register the routing. So routing dot register, so register route, and now here we need to pass in name of home page is good to add this. So home page, then type of the same home. Let's do next one. So routing dot register route, name of, and we pass in details, and now type of details too. So we do this to register the 2 content pages created. Now the next thing to do here is very simple. We have to set our home page as a default page. So we can do that in the app cell. So in here we have the local, and now this local here, it is for this demo. So let's add views. So views, let's say we have this local, and let's change this to views. We can have this as views. Then we're going to specify home. So that is our home content page that we are talking about. So that is this home. So public partial class, and that is home, and we inject this home view model. Let's go to the home example, and that is demo.views.home. Okay. So the app shell. Now let's see if you're gonna have with views, we have this home. Now let's save this. Let's go to the home. And now let's clear all this out. Let's save this. Let's run it to see what we have now. Alright, so you can see the application has been run in the Android emulator, and we have the home here. So let's change the route to home. Okay, now we have this. What else can we do? Let's go in there and populate a list of customers to this. So this is what you're going to do. Let's go to home view model. Before we use or we write anything in this constructor, what we can do here is we have to create our model. So let's create a model. So it's in Explorer. Let's go to models, right click on it. Now let's add maybe user model. So let's add a class, and let's set here as user. Okay. So with this user that we are talking about, you're going to have some few parameters here. So let's set this to public, and we're going to have ID, username, user email. We're going to have user password. Well, so maybe you can have, it's okay. So let's maintain this, and now let's talk about country here. So we have an ID, name, email, and country. This is what you want to process here for user. Now let's go to the list here. We have to create a list, and let's say this is public, and we're going to use an observable collection. So observable collection, and this collection you're going to handle with user. And now on this user, you're going to say users. So you must have get set, and we can say it's equal to new. So let's include the model here, control period, using models. And now in here, let's create a method to add user defaultly. So we create our private, and it's going to return nothing. So add users. So add users. And now with this add users, let's copy this. So anytime the constructor is being called, we want to initialize this first. Okay, so this add users, we want to populate a list of users and our add. So we say that users, and that is this users dot add, and now here we're going to provide new user. So what is the ID here? ID is 1. We're going to have name. So name is going to be Frank Hughes. Then we have email is also going to be, so let's say frank@mail.com. Then the last one is country. So country is going to be GH, and that is Ghana. Now I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to just copy this and paste and make a change in it because we want to have a list of users. So to stop wasting time here, I'm going to paste this. Okay, a lot. So I'll paste this too. Then I'm going to go off and I'll edit them and I'll come back. All right, so I have this, and you can see I have almost 10 data here. Now, when I call this method, I want to add all this method into this list. Okay. So this is what we are doing here. So we are adding all this method. When the page loads, we are adding all this. And we are calling this method here inside the page, the constructor. So when this constructor gets called, it also calls this method, add users method, and now the list here gets populated with the data in it. Okay, the next thing to do here is we have to bind this user list to a collection view. So let's do that. So in the home here, let's add collection view. Now with this collection view, we have some few things to do. We can set item source. So item source, and that is this. Before we can be able to bind this, we have to add a namespace. So XMLNS, and we're going to use as view model. Now with this view model, we're going to say that namespace. And now here we are calling for demo.viewModels. And we can specify X data type. Then we say view model that we was or we created. Now this view model, we want to check. So we have this namespace.demo.viewModel. Now X data type is equal to, so this view model, let's do it again. So we say view model, and now we are going to inherit from home view model. So that is it, home view model. So with this, we can add for binding. And now we want to bind users. So once you have this bind, what we can do again, we can set up a collection view template. So .item template, how you want to arrange our item. So item template, and now in that we can also have data template, And now this data template, we need to write X data type, and now it is view model. So here I'm not going to use the view model. We are going to use model. So let's add these models too. So XML NS, we say models is equal to dash namespace. So we're going to use namespace, then demo. So let's see, let's clear one of these. So demo dot, and you have to use models. So in here, we can talk about user. So you have to first write model, then slash user. Okay, so now we have this user object here. We can specify which property that we want to display. So let's display one, and that's going to be the name. So we're going to use, let's use frame. And with this frame, we can set border color. So let's see, now we have border. So we can set border color to any. So let's set to this. And we have margin. So let's say 5 pesos each. So 5 left. We have now for bottom or for top, you want 5. So top 5. Now bottom is 5. And our last is 5. So with writing all this, you can decide to maintain only one. Then we need to use label. So this label, we set text to binding the name straightforward. Let's do this. See, it is now loaded and we have the list here. So let's go to the home view model. And now let's create a method. And now this method is going to handle when the frame gets tapped. So in here, let's create public. And that is void. So we say user tapped. And now user type, so we're going to pass in this user. And I'm going to use an object here, user. Okay. Now, when this user is tapped, what else can we do? Let's see. So we're going to call the navigation service. And remember that the navigation service is over here. So we can call this navigation service. So we say navigation service. So navigation service dot, and we can have navigate to. So let's set this navigation service dot navigate to async. And now in here, you know, we need to pass in content page name and also a list of this or dictionary that comprises of a key value or pair. Now in here, the first thing we're going to do here, what is the route or what is the content page that we want to move up to? So instead of specifying the name, we can use name of. So name of, and now let's pass in detail page. So we want to go to details. So control period, let's use views. Okay, and aside from this, we want to go to details And we want to pass in a dictionary, that's a list. So we call new dictionary. So new dictionary, and it is a string as you made it in the service creation, and this is object. So now we have this, and let's come to new line. So right here we open it, and now in here we have to specify the string, the key, and also the object value. So what is the key? And here it's going to be, let's say, user details. And what is the object here? And that is the user. That's the user that we are talking about. Okay, then we close this. But we have this here. It is saying that this base view model.navigation service is inaccessible due to its protection level. So let's go there and see. Oh, okay. So let's change here to public, no, protected. So when it's set there to private, it means that only this scope can use that. Aside from this, no one can use it. But when it's set to protected, it means we can use it, which is when it is related to the method name that we have called. Okay, so we save that. Now let's go back and see home view model, and yeah, it is set now. Now we have this. Let's put on top, that is a relay command. So relay command, and that's going to user typed. So let's go to the home page and this, and let's bind this. So we have the home view model bound already. So let's, inside of the frame, let's add frame gesture. So that as soon as the user types on it, we can navigate to the page. So let's see how to go about that. Now let's specify a frame dot, and here's gesture recognizers, and in here we can talk about tab. So you want to use tab gesture recognizer. Now the command, let's see, do you have any issue? Okay. Now the command that we want to use here, so we specify a command, and now we say we want to bind it to x.relative. So let's say we have binding, and here must be source first. So we have source, and now this source we pass in x.relative binding. Now this relative binding, we're going to look up for the ancestral type. Now this ancestral type, we are referring to x dot, and here that is a view model. So this x, we must pass in type first, x type first. Now this x type first, then we pass in this view model. So which view model that we are talking about? Talking about home view model. So let's search for home view model. Okay. Now once you are done with this, we go back here, and now we have to specify the path. So which one are you talking about? That is user typed command. So that is the path that we are talking about. Now let's see. We are not getting this here. Let's see if this home view model, and let's go to home view model. We have this relay command. We can just, now let's add it again. So relay command, let's save this. Let's go back to the home. And let's see, so path is equal to, so user typed, let's see. Let's go back again to the home view model. And now there is a user tapped, so we can grab this. Then we go to the home. We paste this, and we can add the command. So this is what we are referring to. So we can now save this. So whilst we pass in the command, we need to pass in or provide the parameters too. So in here, we can also specify command parameter 2. So command parameter, and now we set this to binding, and we're going to use itself. So referring to itself, that's why we need to use the dot. Okay, then we close the tab get star recognizer. All right, so when we have this, we are good to go. Now let's see what we can do from here. So when we run this, let's see the output of this. So we have the list. Now let's click on this and see. So you can see as soon as I click on it, we have the details and we have welcome to .NET Maui. Now what you have to do again is to grab the content here and now display it on the screen. So let's use that. So now you can see that from the home page view model, we are calling the navigation service and we navigate to and pass in the detail page. That is the content page name, and also the parameter that you want to also add. That's a list of dictionary or the dictionary that you want to provide as a parameter to this service. Let's go to the detail page and also accept it. So we go to the detailed page view model, and now in here we have to use query parameter to accept this. So we're going to use query. That's a query property, and here we have name and the query ID. Now what is the name that you want to use? That is user. Let's say this is user detail. Okay, now this is user detail, but you shouldn't put this. So we have to use name of. Then we can now pass in this user detail. Okay, then this user detail, we are talking about this user, so we have to use this user control period. Then let's use the models, and now so that is what's going to hold the data. Okay, now what is the next thing to do here? So we need to also specify the query ID. Now what is the query ID coming in? Let's quickly check from the home view model. So we check from the home view model, and now it is a user detail. So let's copy this. Let's go to the detail view model, and I will paste this here. Now to handle this, we have to create. So let's say private user, and we say user. Now let's set this as an observable property. Okay, so it means when you call this, this is going to be stored by this object created here. Okay, so now let's go to the detail page, and now let's include the view model. So XML, then we can talk about view model. So it's equal to CLR dash, so we have namespace and demo dot view models, and let's specify X data type, and we specify the view model, and here we're going in for detailed view model. So with this is what you want to do. We have this vertical layout, and you want to use this label also to get the list. So let's use label. So first label, we have test, and that is name. And let's copy the next one. And instead of this name, we're going to use this binding, and we're going to pass in user dot name. So let's see, we have this detailed page, and with that detailed page, let's check to see we have the data type as detailed page view model. Now we're talking about this user, so let's save this. So let's see, binding, and are we going to have this user? Let's see the reason why we are not having that. We have the namespace added here, view models, and the data type as detailed view model. Okay, so let's close this before. Now let's see. So we have user now is popping up dot name. Okay, so you know something, we can put this in horizontal stack layout, and we can grab this again and put this once more. Maybe we have the user ID, and this is an ID. We have name, and that is username. We have, what else again do we have? So we have ID, name, email, and country. So we go to the detailed page. Now here we have email, and here it is user dot email. So dot email, and the last one we have dot country, and now let's change here to country. Okay. All right, now let's run this again and see what we have now. Okay, so our page is now loaded. Now let's see. So if I click on the first one or the last one, John Hughes, it has to open and tell me the details of John Hughes. I can just go back here, and this one, because we have Hanson Hughes. So go back also. You can see we have Richmond, and you can see we have the same data here. So that is navigating to a page whereby you have to provide a list or object as a dictionary to the page. Let's have a look at, let's create an toolbar item whereby we have to click on go back to the home page. Okay, so in here, let's see what we can do. Let's add content page. So let's close this, and let's say content page dot toolbar items, and now in here we have toolbar item, and what is the text here? Maybe home. Okay, so we have home. Now what is the command? So let's go to the detailed page and create a command there. So in here we have public void, and it is go home. So go home, and now here we have to call this navigation service dot navigate to. Now let's specify name of, and now that is a home page. And we can decide to leave as it is, or we can specify now here too. Okay, now let's see. So with this name of, this is the, here we are referring to the home page. Now with this, let's see the error in this, then we try to rectify that. Okay, so let's include this relay command. So relay command. Now save that, go to the detailed page, and now in here add binding, and now that is go home command. Let's save this. Now let's run this and see. Okay, so let's click on any of it. So Casper Hughes. Now you can see we have home. If I click on this home, we might have an exception here. Yes, because we cannot, the value cannot be null here, as you can see. So let's see what we can talk about, what we can do. So in here, we can decide to remove this. Okay, now let's see. So let's save this, and let's reload this page again. So it's open. Let's click on any of this. Now let's click on home. Okay, so nothing happens. Let's see. Okay, so here, let's remove this now. And now here is supposed to be home. So control period. Let's include views. Now let's reload this page again. So let's see. Now click on this, go back home. And okay, so it seems this button is not working. So let's try that and see. So navigate service navigation service.navigate to async. We call this name off. Now here we are referring to a home page. So instead of this, you can decide to let's grab this, and now let's specify this $sign here. So in this, we are going to use and now name off. So we can use now. Let's paste this. So this is a parameter that you want to use. Let's try this too and see what's going to happen. Okay, so the page is loaded. My queues, click on it. Now go back home. Now you see we are in. So let's say home. Now job queues. Go home. Good. So you can see that it's a nice way of creating a service for navigation and utilizing that service in your content pages or your view models using the MVVM architecture to do it. I believe this is very simple, and I'm going to leave this at the GitHub, so you can just go in there and grab this source code over there. I'll push it to the GitHub as well. Okay, so if you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Go to the playlist. We have a lot of lessons that you can take over there. So thank you, and I'm going to catch you up